Tonight at 10, we're live in Ukraine, a country at war.
What seemed unthinkable in the 21st century is now underway. A democratic country has been invaded by its nuclear army. It is a full-scale attack, forcing Ukrainians to decide whether to flee or to fight.
Hello, my name is Danyil Rynzhuk, and I want to share with you a story of how God has been working in my life from the very beginning. I was born in a small town in western Ukraine called Ivano-Frankivsk. That's where my dad began his work as a pastor. When I was 3 years old, our family moved to Ukrainka, a city about 25 minutes from the capital, Kyiv. In the last year of our ministry there, something terrible happened. One Sunday morning, I woke up and I couldn't see well. I stayed in bed and my parents quickly realized that something was wrong. We went straight to the hospital, and there my dad told me to wait for him in the lobby. And that's the last thing I remember because I fell into coma. The hospital in our town didn't have good doctors, so they had to transport me to another hospital. Unfortunately, there were no available medical vehicles, and my dad began praying to God and asking for help. Minutes later, my dad received a call about a medical transport that could take us to another city. We still don't know how and who found the vehicle, but with God's help, we were able to get transportation. We arrived at the hospital, did all the tests and analysis, and the local doctor said my condition was terrible. They told my parents I might not survive, and even if I did, I might not be the same again. But my dad kept praying and trusting God. On the third morning, everything changed. My condition suddenly improved, and the doctor was so shocked because just the day before I was in a critical condition, and now I was recovering fast. But my dad just told him, "It's our Heavenly Father." After 4 days, I woke up, and it was truly a miracle from God. Even though I was so young, I already knew that God had a special plan for my life. In 2022, during COVID, we just had returned to Ukrainka, the same city where I had gotten sick years earlier. And I started school there, finished my first semester, and then a week before February 24, that's when the war started, we were warned that our country might come under attack. We were so scared and didn't know what to do, because nobody was sure if it was real or not. We spent the next few days with our extended family in western Ukraine. While we were there, a group from Germany was helping people leave the country. And we were so thankful for that opportunity. And that's how my mom and my two sisters, well, I have three now, were able to go to Germany. Unfortunately, my dad had to stay in Ukraine at first because he was still serving as a pastor and didn't want to leave his church. And so when we arrived in Germany, I often heard my mom crying. She tried to stay strong for us, but I could tell that she was hurting a lot. We were in a new country, didn't speak the language, and had no idea what to do. But my dad stayed positive. He kept saying, "God has a plan. God is with you." After 3 months, my dad was finally able to join us in Germany, and we were together again. But not longer after that, Mila Adventist Academy in the United States invited my dad and other pastors to send their kids to study in America. At first, I was scared. I didn't want to be far from my family. When my dad told me about it, I immediately said no. But he told me to pray about it, and he said that God would give me the wisdom to make the right decision. God was already working because my parents had applied for a special visa program called U4U, United for Ukraine. And I didn't even know about it. And just a few weeks later, they were approved. A few days later, when I arrived at Mila, the first few days were really, really hard for me. I cried a lot because I wanted to talk to people, but I just couldn't because I didn't know any English. But over time, I started learning a few words, and I was able to communicate with the community at Mila. And that's when I truly fell in love with it. I'm not going to lie, my first year was really hard. But it was such a blessing for me to be there. During my second year at Mila, I started to build a real relationship with Jesus. And I'm so happy that God brought me through everything, because now we've truly become best friends. That's how I came to Mila, and it was one of the greatest blessings in my life. Now I've graduated from Mila, and I'm about to begin a new chapter, college. Unfortunately, my dad is a part-time pastor in New York, and he doesn't get any subsidies. I've been accepted to 3 schools: Walla Walla University, Andrews University, and Southern Adventist University. After visiting Southern last spring, I felt like it was home. The people there were welcoming and full of joy. I truly felt like I belonged there. People at Southern love Jesus, and I want to be a part of that experience too.
I first heard Danyil's story a few weeks ago. It touched my heart so deeply, and I knew I needed to do something to help him. After 3 days of fasting for this cause, I realized we're going to need a miracle from God. I invite you to be a part of this miracle and help sponsor Danyil through his first year of college at Southern Adventist University. If your heart feels moved to help Danyil, you can give your tax-deductible gift at benadventist.org under Giving, under Student Ukrainian Mission Fund. We may not be able to stop the war in Ukraine, but we can help educate their children.